Alright, so now it's time for a review for the last book, Feast for Crows. This one, I'm going to have a tough time talking about because once I got through reading it, I really was left wanting for more. And not in a good sense where like the cliffhangers from Storm of Swords left you wanting more, but in a fun way. This one kind of feels like Martin's dragging his feet. Apparently this wasn't supposed to be a Feast for Crows. As I've read, this was supposed to be a Dance with Dragons. But Martin had so much that he wanted to write out. In fact, he said he got up to like 1,500 pages of manuscript for this, so he split it off into 2 books. And the best points of views that could have been used for this have been taken out. Case in point, Daenerys, Jon Snow, and Tyrion. So their fates are left kind of hanging in the air. We've had some preview chapters under their names, but there's I didn't get an opportunity to read any of them, and they've long since been taken down. Most recently, we've been teased with one from Bran, who's also been cut out of the story. The only ones returning, we have Jaime, who's kind of had a falling out with his sister since Brienne and him part company. And there's even a hint at some romance kind of carried over. He's like kind of finding himself thinking more and more about Brienne, which is kind of interesting. Brienne also has a point of view, but I couldn't really find myself getting interested in her character. And in fact, a lot of the points of view in this book actually are very contrived. They feel forced on in here. Case in point, we have some characters which have maybe which could be prologue material are only shoved in here and there quite randomly. And we also have some names that change throughout the story. Case in point, Arya, when she arrives on the island she's going to, actually later on in the story will become Cat of the Canals for a chapter. Sansa, who has fled to the Eyrie with Littlefinger after she's been spirited away, disguises herself as his bastard daughter, Elaine Stone, and her name goes from Sansa to Elaine. And I know the changes happen, but it's quite confusing because even characters who were introduced in here, we have 2 points of view from the Kraken family, whose name I can't remember right now, from the Iron Island. There's one that's named Aaron Damphair, who's kind of like this prophet of a water god. They call him the prophet at one point, and they go on and call him Aaron, and they'll call him Damphair on the 3rd chapter. And it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they keep swapping up the names. Apparently Martin feels like he's trying to be clever with it. I'm not sure, and a lot of people will feel me coming off as bullshitting with this review, but honestly I was left confused on some of those points. Let's see. Jaime is followed and actually finds out some duplicity on Cersei's part. Cersei also has a point of view that's introduced in this book, and we actually find out she's acted mad through the eyes of others, and pretty much her way of thinking is mad in itself. As evil as she is, she actually does show a bit of concern over her 2 remaining children, especially after Joffrey's assassination, and she fears a prophecy that all 3 of her children will die, so she has Marcella spirited away somewhere, and she has Tommen, who is her youngest son, 8 years old and now seated on the throne, and he winds up getting married to Joffrey's widow. I think I can't remember her name, Marie or something like that, but there is something kind of funny about that. The girl is 16, and she winds up being part of a politically arranged marriage to this 8-year-old boy. Obviously they can't consummate the marriage, but there is something in a way intrinsically funny to me that she's trying to appeal to her husband the king by coming to him with different things. Like she gives him a kitten to kind of get him to go along and sign on something that she wants, and Cersei actually has a moment of clarity, and when she realizes what the girl is doing, and that she says, usually the girl probably would have gone and seduced Joffrey with sex. Here she's seducing her other son with kittens, and for some reason, I just thought that was funny. But Cersei winds up rigging some charges against this girl that she's trying to kill Tommen and get the throne for herself, but ultimately what happens is that those charges backfire on Cersei, and this entire book is just watching her downfall until later on in her imprisonment, and that's really one of the high parts of this book to me. Samwell's point of view in this, Jon Snow, his chapters are not present, but he does appear from during Sam's chapters very briefly at the beginning, and Sam has to go on a quest because now he's becoming the new hand of the Commander on the Wall, which Jon Snow won. They had an election a while back, which I didn't talk about, but basically Jon Snow is the new Commander on the Wall at 16, at being the youngest, as well as the first bastard commander as well, which is kind of interesting. And all the hands of any commanders or kings have to go off to a certain place to have a chain, which is made of literal gold hands clasping each other, formed in order to show off the rank, and Sam has to go. And along the way, Aemon Targaryen, who was the original hand, it was kind of revealed back that he was the 100-year-old Targaryen king who escaped and wound up joining the Wall. Aemon dies along the way, and Sam finds himself wound up in a relationship with the girl that they rescued from Craster's Keep back in the 3rd book. And it kind of, in a way, sort of mirrors Jon Snow's adventure over there, and I won't go into detail too much on it, but basically Sam gets him a little bit of wildling booty, but that's about it. Honestly though, the rest of this book feels like a lot of filler material, and the stuff that we were really waiting for of what happened, or especially me, when I was wanting to know what happened with Tyrion, Daenerys, and Jon, has been left off for A Dance with Dragons. So yeah, you're gonna have to read this book, because who knows, whenever A Dance with Dragons come out, you're gonna need it.